In the quiet suburban landscape of Norwood Park Township, Chicago, the unassuming home at 8213 West Somerdale Avenue stood as a symbol of middle-class tranquility. For years, John Wayne Gacy, its owner, had cultivated an image of respectability, a thriving contractor, a community man, even a beloved children's entertainer. Yet, beneath this carefully constructed facade, lay an unspeakable horror, a secret so dark it would shock the nation and forever alter the perception of safety in America's neighborhoods. This house, a place of supposed warmth, was in fact, a tomb. The name John Wayne Gacy would become synonymous with terror, a chilling reminder that evil can wear the most convincing masks. He was a man of contrasts, a successful business owner, a local political activist, and the life of children's parties as Pogo the Clown. This public persona, affable and engaging, allowed him to move through society largely unquestioned, a wolf in sheep's clothing. His carefully crafted image served as the perfect camouflage for the monstrous acts he committed in the dark, a duality that continues to haunt the imagination. Gacy's early life offered glimpses of the psychological complexities that would later define him. Born in Chicago in 1942, he grew up under the shadow of a domineering, alcoholic father. This environment fostered a deep sense of inadequacy and a desperate need for approval, intertwining with nascent violent tendencies and sexual deviance. Instances of bullying, a troubled relationship with his father, and early struggles with his own identity laid a shaky foundation for the man he would become, setting the stage for a life marked by outward conformity and inner turmoil. The first major crack in Gacy's facade appeared in 1968 while he was living in Waterloo, Iowa. Charged with sodomy for assaulting a teenage boy, he was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in the Iowa State Reformatory. This period served as a grim preview of the darkness within him, a clear warning sign dismissed by many upon his release. The conviction, though significant, did little to deter his predatory instincts. Instead, it may have refined his methods, making him more cunning in concealing his true nature from society. After serving only 18 months of his sentence, Gacy was paroled in 1970. He returned to Chicago, determined, it seemed, to put his past behind him. He remarried, started a new contracting business, PDM Contractors, and embraced a life of apparent normalcy. This fresh start was a deliberate act of deception, a meticulous effort to erase the stain of his criminal record and reintegrate into society as a productive, law-abiding citizen. But beneath the veneer of rehabilitation, the predatory impulses continued to fester, merely awaiting the opportune moment to resurface with horrifying intensity. PDM Contractors quickly became a successful enterprise, granting Gacy not only financial stability but also a surprising amount of access and trust within the community. His employees, often young men seeking work, found themselves in close proximity to him, both at job sites and, disturbingly, within his own home. This business provided a perfect cover, allowing him to interact with potential victims under legitimate pretenses. The tools and vehicles of his trade also served dual purposes, facilitating his heinous crimes and the subsequent disposal of evidence, intertwining his professional life with his dark secrets. Gacy meticulously cultivated an image as a pillar of the community. He was a member of the local Jolly Jokers Club, often performing as Pogo the Clown at children's parties, hospitals, and charity events. His political involvement, including campaigning for local Democratic politicians, further cemented his reputation as a respected and benevolent figure. This public service provided him with opportunities to connect with people, seemingly disarming any suspicion. His warmth and generosity masked a chilling emptiness, making him all the more dangerous as he actively participated in the very fabric of society. The disconnect between John Wayne Gacy's public persona and his private reality was profound and terrifying. By day, he was the jovial, trustworthy PDM contractor, the friendly clown, the local political enthusiast. By night, or behind the closed doors of his home, he was a predator, luring vulnerable young men to their deaths. This dual existence wasn't simply a matter of hiding, it was a carefully constructed fortress of deception, where outward charm served as a shield, allowing him to operate undetected for years, preying on those who saw only the good neighbor. The disappearances began in the early to mid-1970s. Young men, often runaway teens or those seeking casual work, vanished without a trace in the Chicago area. Their absence was initially met with varied responses. Some were dismissed as voluntary runaways, others simply became statistics in an overburdened police system. No one yet connected these individual cases, allowing Gacy to refine his methods, becoming more efficient and brazen with each victim. The absence of a link between these cases only fueled his dark spree, creating a terrifying, unseen pattern. Gacy's preferred method of luring victims was insidious and effective. He often offered employment opportunities at PDM contractors, promising good wages for construction work. Other times, he would approach young men at bus stops, bars, or in the downtown area, enticing them back to his home under the guise of sexual encounters or parties. Once inside, his charm would quickly turn to coercion, and his victims would find themselves in a deadly trap. The trust he initially built was systematically shattered, replaced by terror and helplessness. The most horrifying aspect of Gacy's crimes was the disposal of his victims. He chose to bury most of them in the crawl space beneath his own home. This decision was born out of a macabre convenience and a chilling sense of control. The shallow, cramped space became a mass grave, a secret kept hidden from family, neighbors, and even his employees who worked unknowingly above the decaying remains. The very foundation of his suburban respectability was built upon the bodies of the young men he murdered, a silent testament to his depravity. Despite his efforts, a putrid, lingering odor began to emanate from Gacy's home. Neighbors and even his second wife noticed the foul smell, which Gacy dismissed as dampness, sewer issues, or decaying rodents. He resorted to extreme measures to mask the stench, continuously applying lime to the crawl space and running industrial fans. Yet, the smell persisted, a constant, silent accusation against the pleasant facade of the house. This persistent odor was one of the earliest, albeit ignored, indicators of the horror unfolding within those walls, a grim harbinger. The disappearance of 15-year-old Robert Piest on December 11, 1978, marked the beginning of the end for John Wayne Gacy. Piest had left work at a local pharmacy, planning to meet Gacy for a potential job opportunity. His parents, immediately concerned, reported him missing and provided a crucial lead. Their son was last seen talking to Gacy. This act of concerned parenting, coupled with Gacy's previous record, would finally focus law enforcement's attention on the seemingly upstanding contractor, setting in motion the unraveling of his dark empire. With Robert Piest's disappearance, police quickly focused their investigation on John Wayne Gacy. His prior conviction for sodomy in Iowa, combined with the fact that he was the last known person to see Piest alive, raised immediate red flags. Detectives began compiling a comprehensive profile, interviewing Gacy, his family, and neighbors. The seemingly cooperative contractor provided evasive answers and suspicious alibis, only deepening their suspicions. The net was beginning to tighten around Gacy, slowly revealing the insidious truth hidden behind his carefully constructed public image. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, law enforcement placed John Wayne Gacy under constant surveillance. Plainclothes officers meticulously tracked his movements, observing his home, his business, and his interactions. This painstaking surveillance operation gathered crucial intelligence, painting a clearer picture of his habits and revealing inconsistencies in his stories. The tension in the quiet suburban neighborhood was palpable, as police worked covertly, knowing they were on the verge of uncovering something far more sinister than a simple missing persons case. Every move Gacy made was being watched. As evidence mounted, including witness statements and Gacy's evasiveness, police secured a search warrant for his home. This was a critical legal step, granting them the authority to finally penetrate the domestic facade Gacy had maintained for so long. The warrant indicated the belief that evidence related to Robert Piest's disappearance, and potentially other crimes, might be found on the property. The issuance of this document marked a pivotal moment, signaling the end of Gacy's undetected reign and the imminent exposure of his horrifying secrets to the world. On December 20, 1978, police executed the search warrant. The moment they entered Gacy's residence, the pervasive, sickening odor confirmed their worst suspicions. It was unlike anything experienced by seasoned officers, a smell of decay that permeated every corner of the house, especially emanating from the crawl space. Initial inspections of the property revealed items belonging to Piest. The atmosphere was heavy with dread, as investigators realized this was no ordinary missing persons case. The house was screaming its secrets, even if subtly at first. The initial search quickly turned into a gruesome excavation. Following the unbearable stench, investigators began digging in the narrow, flooded crawl space beneath the house. The discovery of the first human remains confirmed the unspeakable reality. This was not just a missing persons case, but a mass murder investigation. The scene was overwhelming, a testament to unimaginable horror. Each shovel of dirt brought new revelations, each discovery deepening the profound shock felt by seasoned police officers who thought they had seen it all. The suburban home had become a charnel house. The excavation of Gacy's property became an agonizing, methodical process that lasted for weeks. Forensic teams meticulously sifted through thousands of cubic feet of earth from the crawl space, backyard, and garage. The scale of the horror was unprecedented. Each recovered body, often severely decomposed, added another layer to the nightmare, turning a quiet suburban home into the focal point of a national tragedy. The image of a house shrouded in tarps and surrounded by investigators became etched into the public consciousness, a symbol of extreme evil. As the excavation continued, the toll of Gacy's victims mounted, reaching a staggering number that horrified the entire nation. 33 young men, lured, murdered, and then buried in and around his home, or disposed of in the Des Plaines River. The meticulous process of identifying each victim, often through dental records or other forensic methods, brought immeasurable pain to numerous families. The sheer volume of Gacy's crimes revealed a serial killer operating with terrifying impunity, leaving behind a trail of grief and unanswered questions. On December 21, 1978, John Wayne Gacy was officially arrested. The capture of the Pogo the Clown killer sent shockwaves across America. Despite the overwhelming evidence and the gruesome discoveries on his property, Gacy initially maintained his innocence, displaying a chilling calm. However, as the interrogation progressed, the facade began to crack. The arrest marked the culmination of an intense investigation and the beginning of a long journey toward justice for his many victims and their shattered families, finally bringing the predator into custody. During a protracted interrogation, Gacy first denied any involvement, then offered a chillingly detailed confession, complete with hand-drawn diagrams indicating where he had buried bodies. What was most disturbing was his apparent lack of remorse or empathy, recounting his horrific acts with a detached, almost academic tone. This confession, a stark contrast to his public image, provided investigators with invaluable information but also revealed the terrifying depths of his psychopathy. The details he shared were a grim roadmap to his secret grave sites, forever sealing his fate. The sheer scale and depravity of Gacy's crimes presented an unprecedented challenge for the legal system. Prosecutors faced the monumental task of consolidating evidence from 33 separate murders into a single, cohesive case. The pretrial phase was complex, involving extensive forensic analysis, victim identification, and psychological evaluations of Gacy. Defense attorneys, in turn, prepared for what would be a highly scrutinized and emotionally charged trial, knowing the public's outrage was immense. The path to justice promised to be long and arduous. The trial of John Wayne Gacy commenced in February 1980, drawing immense national and international attention. The courtroom became a stage for the macabre details of his crimes, as prosecutors presented overwhelming forensic evidence, victim testimonies from those who escaped, and Gacy's own chilling confession. Families of the victims sat in agony, hearing the gruesome accounts of their loved ones' final moments. The prosecution meticulously built a case designed to demonstrate Gacy's premeditation and cold-blooded nature, leaving little room for doubt about his guilt. Gacy's defense strategy centered on an insanity plea, arguing that he suffered from a multiple personality disorder or other severe mental illness that rendered him unable to appreciate the criminality of his actions. Psychiatric experts were called to testify, painting a picture of a deeply disturbed individual. However, the prosecution countered by portraying Gacy as a cunning, manipulative psychopath who meticulously planned his crimes and was fully aware of their illegal nature. The debate over his sanity became a central, contentious point of the trial, grappling with the complexities of criminal psychology. Ultimately, psychological assessments of Gacy revealed a deeply entrenched psychopathy. He exhibited classic traits: a superficial charm, a profound lack of empathy, manipulative tendencies, and an inability to feel guilt or remorse. His actions were not driven by a break from reality, but by a calculated, cold intent. The experts concluded that while disturbed, Gacy understood the nature of his crimes and consciously chose to commit them, a terrifying realization that solidified his culpability and shattered any notion of accidental evil. His mind was a labyrinth of darkness. On March 13, 1980, after a jury deliberation that lasted less than 2 hours, John Wayne Gacy was found guilty on all 33 counts of murder. The verdict brought a profound sense of relief to the victims' families, who had endured unimaginable pain and uncertainty. It affirmed that justice, though hard-won, could prevail against such profound evil. Gacy's impassive reaction to the verdict only underscored his chilling detachment, a final testament to his unrepentant nature. The world had spoken, and the facade was irrevocably shattered, revealing the monster beneath. Following his conviction, John Wayne Gacy was sentenced to death for 12 of the murders, and multiple life sentences for the others. He was transferred to Menard Correctional Center's death row in Illinois. The death penalty was a stark reflection of the severity and heinous nature of his crimes, a legal response to a predator who had inflicted unspeakable suffering. While on death row, Gacy would spend his days appealing his sentence and engaging in macabre artistic pursuits, continuing to challenge the legal system and mystify the public. During his 14 years on death row, Gacy continued to attract morbid attention. He became known for his unsettling artwork, often depicting clowns, including self-portraits as Pogo. These paintings, sometimes sold through macabre collectors, served as a chilling extension of his public persona, a final twisted commentary on his identity. Despite his appeals and claims of innocence in certain cases, the evidence against him remained overwhelming. His time in prison was spent in isolation, yet his shadow continued to loom large over the true crime landscape. Gacy's legal team filed numerous appeals over the next decade, challenging his conviction and death sentence. These legal maneuvers sought to exploit every procedural error or legal loophole, attempting to delay or overturn the verdict. Each appeal brought renewed attention to the horrific details of his crimes, reopening wounds for the victims' families. Despite these persistent efforts, the courts consistently upheld the original verdict, confirming the undeniable weight of the evidence against him. The wheels of justice, though slow, continued to turn. On May 10, 1994, after years of legal battles, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection at Stateville Correctional Center. His final words were reportedly a calm, defiant statement. The execution brought a sense of closure for many of the victims' families, a culmination of decades of waiting for ultimate justice. It marked the definitive end of one of America's most infamous serial killers, silencing the voice that had haunted so many. The event resonated globally, serving as a powerful and somber reminder of the consequences of extreme evil. Despite Gacy's execution, the horror of his crimes continued to cast a long shadow. Several of his victims remained unidentified for decades, haunting families with unanswered questions and an inability to lay their loved ones to rest. These unidentified remains represented a profound pain, a stark reminder of the individual tragedies within the larger scope of Gacy's evil. Their stories remained untold, their families trapped in a perpetual state of grief and uncertainty, hoping one day to finally know the fate of their missing sons. Decades after Gacy's crimes, advancements in forensic science, particularly DNA technology, began to bring renewed hope. In recent years, tireless efforts by authorities have led to the identification of several previously unnamed victims through sophisticated DNA analysis, offering long-awaited closure to their families. This ongoing process highlights the enduring dedication to justice, ensuring that even after the perpetrator is gone, every victim has a name and their story can finally be told, providing some measure of peace for those left behind. In April 1979, Gacy's House of Horrors at 8213 West Somerdale Avenue was demolished. The structure, forever tainted by the unspeakable acts committed within its walls, was razed to the ground. The lot remained vacant for years, a desolate patch of land in a once tranquil neighborhood, before a new house was eventually built. This act of demolition was more than just removing a building, it was a symbolic attempt to erase the physical manifestation of evil, to reclaim the space from its horrifying past, and to allow the community to begin healing. John Wayne Gacy's crimes left an indelible mark on society, forever changing the way people viewed their neighbors and the concept of trust. The killer clown archetype, previously a rarity, became a deeply unsettling figure in popular culture, a symbol of innocence corrupted. His case highlighted the disturbing reality that monstrous evil could hide behind the most ordinary of facades, fostering a new sense of vigilance and questioning of superficial appearances. The Gacy murders forced society to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of darkness. The story of John Wayne Gacy serves as a chilling, disturbing lesson. It reminds us that appearances can be profoundly deceptive, and that the most dangerous individuals often operate under the cloak of respectability. His case spurred advancements in forensic investigation, missing persons protocols, and psychological profiling. But more profoundly, it etched into the collective consciousness the vulnerability of innocence and the enduring presence of evil that can lurk in the most unexpected places. It is a cautionary tale, forever echoing through the annals of true crime. Beyond the shock and horror, the enduring legacy of John Wayne Gacy's crimes lies in the memory of his victims. Memorials and advocacy groups continue to honor their lives, working to ensure that they are remembered not just as statistics, but as individuals whose lives were tragically cut short. This ongoing effort provides solace to grieving families and keeps their stories alive, serving as a powerful counterpoint to the infamy of the killer. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable loss. The case of John Wayne Gacy challenges our understanding of humanity, probing the unfathomable depths of evil. It stands as a stark reminder that some individuals possess a profound capacity for darkness, operating without conscience or remorse, even while outwardly appearing to be pillars of the community. Gacy's story compels us to look beyond surfaces, to question complacency, and to acknowledge the ever-present shadow that can fall upon the brightest of places. It remains a dark chapter, a sobering reflection on the monsters that walk among us.